I won $50 million in the lottery and didn't tell a single soul. Not my mama, who raised me in a two-bedroom apartment in Decatur. Not my sister Keisha, who I shared a bedroom with for 18 years. Not my husband Devon, who I was already planning to leave. I just smiled, signed that ticket, set up a trust, and waited to see who would show me their true colors when I needed help. It happened on a Tuesday. The most ordinary Tuesday of my life until it wasn't. I'd stopped at the Quick Trip on Candler Road after a brutal 12-hour shift at the Department of Family and Children's Services. I was a social worker, making $42,000 a year, carrying a caseload of 47 families when the maximum was supposed to be 25. I was exhausted, burnt out, and running on gas station coffee and determination. I bought a lottery ticket. Not because I believed I'd win, but because it was something I did sometimes when I needed a tiny spark of hope to get through the week. $5 for a dream. That's what Mama used to say when she'd buy her scratch-offs. I got home around 9 p.m. Devon was in his home office, on another call with investors for his startup. 3 years he'd been working on this tech company that was always 6 months from launching, always needing just a little more capital, always demanding I be quieter, less in the way, more supportive of his vision. I'd stopped asking questions about his business a year ago when he'd snapped at me. Not everyone is content with a poverty salary, helping people who don't want to be helped, Jasmine. Some of us have ambition. That's when I started sleeping in the guest room. That's when I started saving money in an account he didn't know about. That's when I started planning my exit. I sat on the edge of the bed in that guest room, pulled up the lottery numbers on my phone, and looked at my ticket. Matched the first number. Okay, that's normal. Second number, matched. Third, fourth, fifth. My hands started shaking. Sixth number. All 6 numbers. Perfect match. I checked 3 more times. Then I Googled what to do if you win the lottery. Spent 2 hours reading articles about financial advisors, lawyers, trusts, anonymity. By midnight, I had a plan. The next morning, I called in sick to work, drove to Atlanta to meet with a lawyer who specialized in lottery winners, someone I'd found through careful research. His office was in Buckhead, all glass and steel and money. "Ms. Williams," he said, looking at my ticket through a special light to verify it was real, "congratulations. You've won $50 million. After taxes, you're looking at approximately $30 million as a lump sum, or annual payments of roughly $2 million for 30 years. $30 million. I'd made $42,000 last year. This was 714 years of my salary, all at once. I want to set this up so no one knows," I said. "A trust, an LLC, whatever it takes. Complete anonymity." He nodded, like this was normal. Maybe for him it was. Smart. Very smart. I can have everything structured within 2 weeks. In the meantime, sign nothing, tell no one, and don't make any large purchases. I laughed. A bitter sound. Trust me, I won't. I went home and looked at my life with new eyes. Really looked at it. The apartment Devon and I rented because he said buying property was limiting until his company took off. The car I drove with 180,000 miles because Devon's BMW lease was more important. The clothes I wore from Target while Devon bought Tom Ford suits for investor meetings. And I looked at my phone. Looked at the calls I'd made over the past year when Devon's business had drained our savings, and I'd needed help. Called Mama, asking to borrow $500 for rent. She'd said, "Baby, you know I would, but Marcus needs help with his mortgage, and you know how it is with 3 kids." Marcus, my younger brother, who made $80,000 a year as an accountant but somehow was always broke. Called Keisha asking if I could borrow her car when mine broke down. She'd said, "Girl, I just got my interior detailed. Can't have you messing it up with your work stuff. Take an Uber." She just posted on Instagram about her $300 brunch that same day. Called my childhood best friend Brittany just to vent. She'd showed up at my apartment an hour later with wine, pizza, and her presence. Didn't try to fix anything. just sat with me. That's when the idea formed. A test. A cruel one maybe, but necessary. 2 weeks later, everything was set up. The Jasmine Williams Trust, an LLC called Second Chance Holdings, bank accounts Devon would never see. A financial advisor named Patricia, who looked at me like I was a person, not a paycheck. "You're doing this differently than most winners," Patricia said during our final meeting. "Most people tell everyone immediately and wonder why relatives they haven't spoken to in years suddenly care. You're protecting yourself. That's wise." "I'm protecting my peace," I corrected. "There's a difference." I went home and told Devon I needed to talk. He barely looked up from his laptop. "I got laid off today," I said. "Budget cuts. They eliminated 15 positions." He finally looked at me. "Seriously? Jasmine, what are we supposed to do? My company is at a critical stage. I can't be distracted by this. I have some savings, enough for my portion of bills for maybe 2 months. Then I'll need to figure something out." "2 months?" He laughed. Sharp, mean. "That's it? This is exactly what I'm talking about. You never planned ahead, never saved properly. Too busy giving your money to your family or spending it on those kids in your caseload." I'd bought shoes for a 7-year-old in foster care last month because the state stipend hadn't come through, and he was wearing sneakers 2 sizes too small. Spent $35 of my own money. Devon had called it playing savior when he saw the receipt. "Maybe I should stay with family for a while," I said quietly, "until I find another job. Save money on rent." "Maybe you should," he said, already turning back to his screen. "Might be good for you to humble yourself a bit. See how the other half lives." The other half. I was the other half. I'd always been the other half to him. That night I called Mama. "Hey, Mama, I need to tell you something. I lost my job today." Silence. Then, "Oh, baby, I'm so sorry. What are you going to do?" "I was hoping maybe I could stay with you for a little while. Just until I get back on my feet. I have some savings, but—" "Jasmine." Her voice changed. Got that tone. The one that said she was about to disappoint me, but wanted me to understand it wasn't personal. "You know I would love that, baby, but Marcus and Shayla and the kids just moved in last week. Shayla's expecting again, and they needed help. We're packed tight already. Every room is full. I could sleep on the couch, Mama. I wouldn't be any trouble." "It's not about trouble, baby. It's about space. We just don't have it right now. Maybe ask Keisha?" Marcus had a 3-bedroom house he was renting out while living at Mama's rent-free. But I didn't say that. I called Keisha next. "Hey, sis, listen, I got laid off today and—" "Girls, stop right there. I know where this is going and I can't. I just bought a new car, my credit is maxed, and I'm barely making it myself. You understand, right?" "I wasn't asking for money, Keisha. I just thought maybe." "Look, Jazz, you're 30 years old. You should have been prepared for something like this. I love you, but I can't enable your poor planning. That's what Mama did, and look where it got her." She hung up before I could respond. I sat there in that guest room, in that apartment my husband couldn't wait for me to leave, and I felt something cold settle into my chest. Not surprise. That was the thing. I wasn't surprised. I called Brittany last. "Brett, I need to tell you something." "What's wrong? You sound off." "I lost my job today. Devon's being Devon about it. My family can't help. I'm drowning here." "Pack a bag," she said immediately. "You're staying with me. I don't want to hear any arguments. Pack your stuff and come over tonight." "Britt, I can't just—" "Jasmine Marie Williams, I have a guest room that's sitting empty. You are my sister in every way that matters. Get your stuff and get over here. We'll figure out the rest tomorrow." I cried then, real tears, not because I was sad, but because in the middle of my test, one person had already passed. One person had shown up without hesitation, without excuses, without conditions. I packed a bag, told Devon I was staying with a friend. He barely looked up. "Probably for the best," he said. "Give us both some space to think." I left my wedding ring on the kitchen counter. He didn't even notice. 3 months into my unemployment, I was living with Brittany in her modest two-bedroom townhouse in Stone Mountain. Every morning, I'd leave like I was going to job interviews. Instead, I'd meet with Patricia, my financial advisor, planning investments and charitable foundations. I'd have lunch at nice restaurants, go to the spa, take yoga classes. Then I'd come home looking defeated, telling Brittany another interview hadn't panned out. She never complained, not once. She'd cook dinner, we'd watch TV, and she'd tell me, something'll come through. You're too talented not to land somewhere good. She'd sneak groceries into the house, claiming they were on sale. She paid for everything and acted like it was nothing. Meanwhile, my phone stayed quiet. Mama called once a week, but never to check on me. Always to talk about Marcus's problems, Keisha's drama, church gossip. When I'd try to talk about my job search struggles, she'd say, "Well, baby, the Lord will provide," and change the subject. Keisha didn't call at all. I saw her Instagram stories, though. New outfits, brunch with her girls, captions about cutting off negative energy and choosing happiness. I guess unemployed sisters counted as negative energy. Marcus never returned the 3 calls I made to him. Not one. Devon texted occasionally, short messages. "How's the job hunt? Need to discuss finances soon. Can't carry the apartment alone much longer." Never once did he ask how I was actually doing, if I was eating, if I was okay. Then everything shifted. It was a Tuesday again. 13 weeks after I'd lost my job. Mama called, and I knew immediately something was wrong. Her voice was strained, higher pitched than normal. "Jasmine, baby, I need to talk to you about something serious." "What's wrong, Mama?" "I got an eviction notice. I'm behind on rent by 3 months. Marcus was supposed to help, but Shayla's medical bills from the pregnancy are eating them alive. I need $5,000 by Friday, or we're out on the street. All of us. The kids, everyone." I let the silence hang for a moment. "Mama, I don't have $5,000. I'm barely surviving myself." "Don't you have that savings you mentioned?" "Baby, this is serious. I raised you by myself, worked 3 jobs to keep a roof over your head. I never asked you for nothing I didn't desperately need." The guilt trip. Right on schedule. "Mama, that savings is gone. Rent, car insurance, food. I've been applying everywhere, but nothing's coming through. What about Devon? Can't he help? Y'all still married?" "We're separated, Mama. And Devon made it clear I'm on my own." "So you're telling me you can't help your own mother? The woman who sacrificed everything for you?" Her voice cracked. "Jasmine, I don't understand this. I raised you better than this. To be selfish like this?" Selfish. The word hit like a slap. "I'm not being selfish, Mama. I literally don't have the money." "You know what? Fine. I'll figure it out myself, like I always do. I just thought my own daughter would show up when it mattered. Guess I thought wrong." She hung up. I sat there staring at my phone, this device connected to bank accounts holding millions of dollars, and I felt sick. Not guilty. Just sick at how easily she'd made me the villain. Brittany found me on the couch an hour later, staring at nothing. "What happened?" she asked. I told her. All of it. "Let me get this straight," Brittany said slowly. "Your mama, who told you she had no room for you 3 months ago because Marcus was there, is now asking you for $5,000 while Marcus lives there rent-free? His wife's medical bills. He makes $80,000 a year. Jazz, they have insurance. And even if they didn't, why is it your responsibility when you're unemployed and he has a whole job?" I had no answer for that. 2 days later, Keisha called. First time in 3 months. "Hey, Jazz, listen. I need a huge favor. Not how are you? Not I'm sorry I haven't called. Just straight to the favor." "What's up, Keisha?" "So you know that car I got? They repossessed it. Some mix-up with the payments." "Not a mix-up. She'd posted about a trip to Miami 2 weeks ago. I need to get another one, but my credit is screwed now. I need someone to co-sign. Just a formality. I'll make all the payments." "Keisha, I don't even have a job. How would I co-sign for a loan? Girl, they don't check that hard. You just need decent credit. I know yours is good because you're all responsible and boring like that. Boring. My financial responsibility was boring to her. I can't co-sign for a car loan while I'm unemployed. That doesn't make sense. Wow. Her voice went cold. So you can't help. After everything. After I let you borrow my car all through college. After I covered for you with Mama 1,000 times. You didn't let me borrow your car, Keisha. That was Mama's car. And what did you cover for me? You know what, Jasmine? You've always been jealous of me. Always. Because I'm prettier, because I have my life together. Because I'm not struggling like you. And now that I need one thing, you can't even show up. That's real petty. I'm not jealous of you, Keisha. I'm unemployed. There's a difference. Whatever. Don't call me when you need something. She hung up. I looked at Brittany, who'd overheard the whole thing on speaker. Did that really just happen? Your sister is delusional, Brittany said flatly. And manipulative. That whole jealousy thing? Classic narcissist move. Make you the problem so she doesn't have to face that she's asking her unemployed sister to co-sign for a car. The next call came from Marcus. Finally, 4 months of silence, and now he was calling. Jasmine. His voice was tight, stressed. I need to talk to you about something important. Hi, Marcus. I'm fine. Thanks for asking. How are you? He ignored the sarcasm. Look, I'm in a bad situation. My business idea, the consulting thing I was starting, it fell through. I invested everything into it, like everything. I'm about to lose the house I'm renting out, which is my only income property. I need $10,000 to catch up on the mortgage or the bank's going to foreclose. That's terrible, Marcus. I'm sorry to hear that. So can you help? I know you have some savings. I'll pay you back as soon as I figure this out. Marcus, I lost my job 4 months ago. You knew that. I called you 3 times. You never called back. Silence. Then, oh, yeah, I've been busy, but this is different, Jazz. This is serious. I could lose everything. And when I lost my job and needed a place to stay, that wasn't serious? That's not fair. That was just a job. You can get another job. This is my whole financial future. I have kids to think about. So when I needed help, it was just a job. But when you need help, it's your whole future. Come on, Jazz. Don't be like that. Family helps family. You know that. I never asked for anything. The laugh that came out of me was sharp enough to cut. Marcus, you're literally living at Mama's house rent-free while she's being evicted because she can't pay her rent. You have a job making $80,000 a year. Where's all your money going? That's none of your business. Are you going to help me or not? I can't help you. I don't have it. You know what? This is typical. Always the martyr. Always playing poor while you judge everyone else. You probably have money saved up, but you're being spiteful because we couldn't drop everything for you. Goodbye, Marcus. I hung up. My hands were shaking. Your brother just called you spiteful for not giving him $10,000 while you're unemployed? Brittany's voice was dangerously quiet. And he makes $80,000 a year? Apparently my unemployment is less important than his bad investment. Your family is sick, Jazz. Like, genuinely sick. But it wasn't over. The calls kept coming. Aunt Cheryl, who I hadn't heard from in 2 years. Baby, I know you're going through it. But I'm about to lose my car, and I know you always been good with money. Can you spot me $800? Cousin Dre? Yo, Jazz, I heard you staying with Brittany. That must mean you got something saved up. Let me hold $500 till next week. Uncle James, your mama told me about her situation. The family needs to come together. We're all pitching in. Can you put in $1,000? Every single one of them knew I was unemployed. Every single one of them asked anyway. And then Devon called. Jasmine, we need to talk, in person. We met at a coffee shop in Virginia Highland. Neutral territory. He looked terrible. Thinner, dark circles under his eyes. His designer clothes didn't fit quite right anymore. My business failed, he said without preamble. The investors pulled out. I'm being sued by a former partner. I need money for a lawyer, a retainer, $15,000. I just stared at him. I know we're separated, but we're still married. Legally. What's mine is yours, and what's yours is mine. Community property. That's the law. Devon, I don't have a job, remember? You couldn't wait for me to leave because I was such a burden. Don't be petty about this, Jasmine. This is serious. I could lose everything. You told me to humble myself, to see how the other half lives. How's that going for you? His jaw clenched. So you're just gonna let me drown? After 5 years of marriage? After I supported you through grad school? You supported me. Devon, I worked full-time while getting my master's degree. I paid my own tuition. You complained the entire time that I was too busy studying to cook dinner. I gave you emotional support. I laughed. Actually laughed. You gave me criticism. You told me my job was pointless. You said I had a poverty mentality. You couldn't even look at me with respect when I was bringing home a paycheck. And now you want me to give you $15,000 when I'm unemployed? You're really going to throw our marriage away over money? No, Devon, you threw our marriage away when you told me to humble myself and leave. I'm just accepting what you already did. He stood up so fast, his chair scraped loudly across the floor. People stared. You know what? Fine. Be selfish. But when my lawyer comes for half of everything you have, don't act surprised. We're still married. You owe me. He stormed out. I sat there with my coffee thinking about how he'd threatened to take half of everything I had, not knowing I had $30 million he'd never touch. That night, Brittany made her famous lasagna and we ate it on the couch watching the Golden Girls. 4 months, I said. 4 months of testing and only you passed. I didn't know I was being tested. That's exactly why you passed. She was quiet for a moment. What are you going to do? I'm going to show them exactly who they are, and I'm going to walk away from all of it. Even your mama? I thought about that. Mama who'd worked 3 jobs to raise me, who'd been there for every school play and graduation, who I loved despite everything. Even Mama, I said finally, because love without respect isn't enough. And she chose Marcus over me when it mattered. She made me feel guilty for not having money to give her, while her son lives in her house rent-free. That's not love. That's conditioning. And I'm done being conditioned to accept scraps. Brittany squeezed my hand. I'm proud of you. I haven't done anything yet. You've survived. You've seen everyone clearly, and you haven't let them break you. That's everything, Jas. My phone buzzed. Another text. This time from a cousin I'd met exactly twice in my life. Hey cuz, heard you were going through it. Just wanted to reach out and see if you had $200 to spare. Times is tough for everybody. I showed Brittany. She shook her head. It's time, I said. It's time to end this test. What are you going to do? I'm going to call a family meeting, and I'm going to tell them everything. Oh, this is going to be good, Brittany grinned. Can I come? You're the guest of honor, Britt. You're the only one who deserves to be there. I texted Mama. Family meeting at your house this Sunday, 2 p.m. Everyone needs to be there. It's important. She responded immediately. Is everything okay, baby? Did you find a job? Just make sure everyone's there, Mama. Marcus, Keisha, everyone. Sunday couldn't come fast enough. Sunday arrived with the kind of crisp autumn weather that felt like a gift. I woke up in Brittany's guest room and spent an hour getting ready. Not the defeated, struggling version of myself I'd been performing for 4 months. The real me. The version sitting on $30 million who'd been tested and found everyone wanting. I straightened my natural hair, letting it fall in sleek waves past my shoulders. Put on a cream-colored cashmere sweater I'd bought last week, soft enough to cost more than my old monthly salary. Dark jeans that actually fit properly. Subtle gold jewelry. Expensive but understated makeup. I looked successful, comfortable, unbothered. Brittany whistled when I came downstairs. Girl, you look like money. That's the point. You ready for this? I've been ready for 4 months. We pulled up to Mama's rental house in Decatur at exactly 2 p.m. in my car. Not the beat-up Honda Civic I'd been driving. I'd traded that in 2 weeks ago for a Range Rover. Paid cash. Kept it parked at a storage facility so no one would see. Marcus's truck was in the driveway. So was Keisha's boyfriend's car. Even Aunt Cheryl and Uncle James were there. Mama must have told everyone it was urgent. I took a deep breath, grabbed the envelope from my passenger seat, and walked up to the door. Brittany was right behind me. Mama opened the door, her eyes going wide. Jasmine, baby, you look different. Hey, Mama. I kissed her cheek and walked in. The living room was packed. Mama, Marcus and his pregnant wife Shayla, Keisha and her boyfriend Darnell, Aunt Cheryl, Uncle James, Cousin Dre, all of them, looking at me with varying expressions of confusion and hope. Hope that I'd finally gotten help from somewhere. Hope that whatever windfall I'd gotten, I'd share. Jasmine, you said this was important, Marcus said, not even greeting me. Some of us have things to do. This won't take long. I remained standing while everyone else sat. Power move. I need to tell you all something. Something I should have told you 4 months ago. Keisha leaned forward. Did you get a job? Girl, finally, where at? I didn't get a job, Keisha. I pulled the envelope from my purse slowly, deliberately. 4 months ago, I won the lottery. $50 million. The room went completely silent. Not breathing, silent. Frozen, silent. Then chaos erupted. What? Keisha jumped up. Baby, what did you say? Mama's hand went to her chest. Oh shit, Marcus whispered. Everyone started talking at once, reaching for me. Excited sounds, shock, disbelief. I held up my hand and they actually stopped. I won $50 million. After taxes, about $30 million. I set it up in a trust, hired lawyers and financial advisors, and didn't tell anyone. Instead, I told you I lost my job. Why would you lie about something like that? Mama looked hurt, confused. I didn't lie, Mama. I tested. There's a difference. Tested? Marcus stood up, his face darkening. What does that mean? It means I wanted to see who would show up for me when I had nothing to offer, who would love me without conditions, who would be there when I needed help. I turned to Mama first. I called you, Mama, asked if I could stay here while I looked for work. You told me there was no room because Marcus and his family were here. But Marcus has a 3-bedroom house he's renting out that sits empty, a house he couldn't even let his sister stay in temporarily. Mama opened her mouth to speak, but I kept going. You had room for Marcus, his wife, and his 3 kids, but not for me, your oldest daughter, the daughter who paid your light bill 17 times over the last 5 years when I was making $42,000 a year. The daughter who bought you a new water heater when yours broke. The daughter who took you to every doctor's appointment when you had pneumonia. There was no room for her. Baby, it's not like that. Then, 3 months later, you called me. Remember? You needed $5,000 for rent, or you'd be evicted. You called me, your unemployed daughter, while Marcus lived here, rent-free, making $80,000 a year. And when I said I didn't have it, you called me selfish. You said you raised me better than that. Tears were streaming down Mama's face. Jasmine, we were desperate. So was I, Mama. I was desperate for my family to show up, and you didn't. I turned to Keisha. You told me you couldn't help when I lost my job because you just bought a new car and maxed out your credit. Then, 3 months later, you called me asking to co-sign for another car after yours got repossessed. You asked your unemployed sister to commit fraud by co-signing when I had no income. And when I said no, you called me jealous, said I was petty. Keisha's face flushed. I was desperate, Jazz. That's different. No, it's not different. That's the point. When you were desperate, you expected me to break the law for you. When I was desperate, you couldn't even return my calls. This is ridiculous. Marcus stood up. You can't test family like this. That's manipulative. Is it? Is it more manipulative than living rent-free at your mother's house while she gets evicted? More manipulative than ignoring your sister's calls for 4 months, then suddenly calling when you needed $10,000? That investment was important, and my joblessness wasn't? You told me family helps family, Marcus, but only when you need help, apparently. When I needed a place to stay, that was just a job. I'd get another one. When you needed money, that was your entire future. His wife Shayla was crying quietly. She grabbed his arm. Marcus, you told me we couldn't help because we didn't have room. We didn't, he said, but he wouldn't look at her. We have a 3-bedroom house sitting empty, Shayla said, her voice getting louder. You said it wouldn't be appropriate, that we needed to keep it nice for the renters. The room shifted. Even Mama was looking at Marcus differently. I turned to my aunt and uncle and cousin. Y'all didn't even pretend to care. Straight up asked for money, knowing I was unemployed. Aunt Cheryl, when's the last time you called me before you needed that $800? 2 years? Cousin Dre, you've asked me for money 6 times in the last decade. How many times have you called just to check on me? 0. I counted. Uncle James had the decency to look ashamed. The others just looked angry. Then Devon walked in, because of course he did. Mama must have told him about the meeting. Jasmine, what's going on? Your mom said it was urgent. Everyone turned to look at me. Waiting. Devon. Perfect timing. Everyone. My almost ex-husband is here. Devon, I was just telling everyone about how I won the lottery 4 months ago and tested all of them to see who would show up when I needed help. His face went through several emotions. Shock, realization, rage. You had $30 million and you let me think you were broke? You told me to humble myself, Devon, to see how the other half lives. I was just doing what you suggested. We're married. That money is community property. I pulled papers from my envelope. These are divorce papers, filed 4 months ago, the day after I won. The lottery winnings occurred after our separation and were placed in a trust established before we legally separated. My lawyers made very sure you have no claim to a single penny. His face went white. You've been planning this whole time. No, Devon. I've been watching. Watching you tell me my job was pointless. Watching you barely react when I said I lost it. Watching you suggest I leave because I was inconvenient. You couldn't wait for me to go. Well, I'm gone. Permanently. You manipulative. Choose your next words carefully, Brittany said, standing up. She'd been quiet until now, just watching. Because whatever you say, everyone here is going to remember. Devon looked around the room, at all these people who were just as guilty as he was. He grabbed his jacket. You know what? Keep it. Keep all of it. You're going to end up alone and miserable with all that money because you're too bitter to forgive anyone. I'm not bitter, Devon. I'm clear. There's a difference. He slammed the door on his way out. I turned back to my family. They were all staring at me like I was a stranger. Maybe I was. So you just used us, Keisha said, her voice shaking. You played games with us, made us look bad, but sick, Jasmine. I didn't make you do anything, Keisha. I gave you all an opportunity to show me who you were when I had nothing to offer. You showed me. All of you showed me. But we're family, Mama said, crying openly now. Family forgives. Family works through things. Family also shows up, Mama. Family also loves unconditionally. Family doesn't measure your worth by your bank account. I turned to Brittany. Brittany, come here. She stood next to me, confused. This woman, I said, gesturing to my best friend, took me in without hesitation. Never asked for rent. Bought groceries and pretended they were on sale so I wouldn't feel bad. Encouraged me every day. Never once asked me for a single thing. Never made me feel like a burden. I pulled another envelope from my purse and handed it to Brittany. This is for you. Jas, what? Open it. Her hands shook as she opened the envelope. Pulled out the check. Her knees literally buckled. I caught her. $500,000, I said loud enough for everyone to hear. For being the sister my blood family never was. Jasmine, I can't. Yes, you can. You passed the only test that mattered. You loved me when I had nothing. You showed up. You were family when family didn't show up. Brittany was sobbing, holding me tight. The room erupted again. You're giving her $500,000? Keisha shrieked. She's not even family. She's more family than you've ever been. What about us? Marcus demanded. What about Mama? She's about to be evicted. Mama can ask her son, who lives rent-free in her house, the one making $80,000 a year. Or she can ask her daughter, who just bought a new car she couldn't afford. My bank account is closed to all of you. Jasmine Marie Williams. Mama stood up, using her full authority voice. I am your mother. I raised you. You owe me. I don't owe you anything, Mama. My voice was quiet but firm. I've already paid you back for raising me, in light bills and water heaters and doctor's appointments and 1,000 other ways. But more than that, you owed me. You owed me the same love you've always given Marcus. The same benefit of the doubt, the same support. And when I needed it, you chose him over me. Because he has kids. And I'm your child, Mama. I'm your daughter. And I needed my mother, and you weren't there. The room went quiet again. Mama sat down slowly, like her legs wouldn't hold her. So that's it? Marcus said. You're just going to cut us all off? Over one mistake? It wasn't one mistake, Marcus. It was 4 months of choices. 4 months of showing me exactly who you all are when you think I can't offer you anything. We didn't know you were testing us, Aunt Cheryl said. That's not fair. That's exactly the point, I said. You didn't know I was testing you. So you showed me your real selves. The selves that only care when it benefits you. I picked up my purse, put my arm around Brittany, who was still crying and holding her check. I'm starting a foundation, I said, for Black women trying to escape toxic situations, bad marriages, manipulative families, financial abuse. It's called Second Chances. Brittany's going to run it with me. We're going to help women who remind me of myself. Women who've been told they're not enough. Women who need to rebuild their lives away from people, who only see them as resources. I looked at each of them. My family. The people who were supposed to love me unconditionally. You all taught me something valuable. You taught me that blood doesn't equal loyalty. You taught me that sometimes the people who are supposed to show up are the first ones to let you down. But you also taught me something beautiful, that I can choose my family. And I choose Brittany. I choose the women in my nonprofit who will show up for each other. I choose myself. Jasmine, baby, please. Mama, reach for me. Don't do this. We can fix this. We can. No, Mama. We can't. Because to fix it, You'd have to see what you did wrong. And you don't. You still think I'm being unreasonable for not giving you money while Marcus sits here rent-free. You still think I'm the problem. I walked to the door, Brittany beside me. Wait, Shayla said quietly. She stood up, looked at Marcus. She's right about all of it. We had space. We had money. You told me we couldn't help because you were saving for the business. But you could have helped her, Marcus. She's your sister. Shayla. No, I'm tired of this. Tired of you always choosing money over people, over family. Tired of living with your mother while we have an empty house because you're too proud to admit the investment failed. She looked at me. I'm sorry, Jasmine. I'm so sorry. I should have pushed harder. It's not your fault, Shayla. You didn't know the whole story. She nodded, tears falling. Can I call you later? I think I need to make some changes too. I understood what she was really asking. If she left Marcus, would I help her? Call me, I said. Anytime. Marcus's face went red. You're turning my wife against me now? I'm not turning anyone against you, Marcus. Your choices did that all by themselves. I opened the door and stepped out into that beautiful autumn afternoon. Brittany followed, still clutching her check, still crying. Behind us, my family started arguing. Loud, angry voices bleeding through the closed door. Blame and accusations and all the toxicity I was walking away from. We got in my Range Rover. Brittany finally spoke. Did that really just happen? It really just happened. $500,000, Jazz. I can't. You can. You earned it. You showed me what real love looks like. What real family looks like. That's worth more than money. But the money helps too. She laughed through her tears. What now? Now we go home, order takeout, watch bad TV, and tomorrow we start building something beautiful. My phone started buzzing immediately, text after text, calls, voicemails, all of them saying variations of the same thing. I was wrong. I was ungrateful. I was cruel. I was manipulative. How could I do this to family? Not one of them said, I'm sorry I wasn't there for you. Not one. I blocked them all. Every number. Then I looked at Brittany. You ready to change some lives? With you, always. We drove away from that house, from those people, from that version of myself who'd accepted crumbs and called it love. And I never looked back. 6 months after the family meeting that ended everything, I stood in the lobby of a renovated warehouse in Sweet Auburn, watching construction workers put the final touches on what would become the Second Chances Community Center. Brittany walked up beside me, tablet in hand, looking every bit the executive director she'd become. The therapy rooms are done. Child care center opens next week. Legal aid office is fully staffed, and we have 47 women on the waiting list for housing assistance. 47. I shook my head in wonder. 6 months ago, it was just an idea. 6 months ago, you were still pretending to be broke while your family imploded. She grinned. Look at you now. Look at me now, indeed. I'd spent the past 6 months building something that mattered. Second Chances wasn't just a nonprofit. It was a lifeline. We provided temporary housing for women leaving toxic situations, job training, therapy, legal assistance for divorces and custody battles, childcare so they could work or go to school. Everything I wished had existed when I was drowning. We'd helped 73 women so far, some leaving abusive marriages, some escaping manipulative families, some just needing a bridge between rock bottom and solid ground. Every single one of them reminded me of myself in some way. My phone buzzed. Patricia, my financial advisor. Jasmine, I'm sending over the quarterly reports. Your investments are performing beautifully. At this rate, you'll never run out of money even with the nonprofit's operating costs. That's the goal. I want second chances to outlive me. At your current giving rate and investment returns, it will outlive your grandchildren. You're set up well. After we hung up, I thought about that. Grandchildren I might never have. A family I'd walked away from. But somehow, I didn't feel empty. I felt full. Fuller than I'd ever felt when I was bending myself into shapes to please people who didn't value me. "You good?" Brittany asked, reading my face. "Yeah, just thinking about how different life is now." "You miss them?" I thought about that. Really thought about it. I miss who I wanted them to be. I don't miss who they actually are. My phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me. "Jasmine, it's Shayla." Marcus's wife? Ex-wife now, I'd heard through the grapevine. "Shayla, how are you?" I'm okay. Better than okay, actually. I left him 3 months ago, took the kids and filed for divorce. Good for you. That couldn't have been easy. It wasn't. But watching you walk away that day, watching you choose yourself, it gave me courage. If you could walk away from your whole family, I could walk away from one man who treated me like I was less than. You talked for an hour. She told me everything. How Marcus had been financially abusing her for years, controlling all the money, making her ask permission for everything. How he'd isolated her from her own family. How the business he'd invested in was actually a gambling habit he'd hidden. He said, "I have the kids in therapy," she said, "and I'm in therapy, working through a lot. But Jasmine, I need help. The lawyer fees are killing me. Marcus is fighting for custody just to punish me, and I'm drowning. After we hung up, send me your lawyer's information. I'll take care of the fees." "Jasmine, I can't ask you to." "You're not asking, I'm offering. Second Chances helps women leaving toxic situations. That includes you." She started crying. "Thank you, God, thank you. I don't know what I would have done." "You would have figured it out. You're stronger than you think. But you don't have to do it alone." After we hung up, I added Shayla to the list of women Second Chances was helping. Her lawyer fees would be paid. She and the kids would have access to our therapy services. She'd get job training to become financially independent. Marcus had called me cruel for walking away. But this was what real family looked like. Showing up, supporting. Not because of blood, but because of choice. The grand opening of the Second Chances Community Center was scheduled for the following month. We'd invited local officials, potential donors, and media. It was going to be big. 2 weeks before the opening, I got a call from a reporter at the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. "Ms. Williams, we'd love to do a feature on Second Chances. Your story is remarkable. Lottery winner turns down family to help strangers." That's a headline. I hesitated. Going public meant my family would know everything, the full extent of what I built, what they'd missed out on being part of. "I'll do it," I said finally, "but on my terms." I want to talk about systemic issues, about why women need organizations like this, not just my personal drama. We can do that. The interview ran the week before our grand opening. Front page of the Metro section. From betrayal to purpose, how one woman's lottery win became a lifeline for others. They'd used a photo of me at the center, surrounded by some of the women we'd helped. I looked happy. Really happy. The article detailed my story. The lottery win, the test, my family's failure, walking away, building second chances. It was honest, raw, real. And it went viral. Within 24 hours, it had been picked up by CNN, Good Morning America, The Root. My inbox flooded with interview requests. But more importantly, it flooded with messages from women who needed help. Women all over the country asking if Second Chances could expand to their cities. And then the other messages started coming. From Mama, "Baby, I saw the article. I'm so proud of what you've built. Can we talk? Please? I miss you. I understand now what I did wrong. Please call me." From Keisha, "So you're famous now?" Giving away money to strangers while your own sister struggles? That's cold, Jazz. Real cold. But congratulations on your success, I guess. From Marcus. You made us all look like villains in that article. You only told your side. There's more to the story, and you know it. This is defamation. My lawyer will be in contact. From Aunt Cheryl. Jasmine, honey, I saw what you're doing, and it's beautiful. I'm sorry about before. I was going through a hard time. We're still family though, right? I have a friend who really needs help. Can you put her in touch with your organization? From various extended family members, mix of apologies, requests, accusations, and attempts to reconnect now that I was publicly successful and charitable. Not one of them had reached out in the 6 months before the article. I showed the messages to Brittany. She read them and shook her head. Mama sounds genuine at least. Mama always sounds genuine. That's her superpower. Making you feel like this time will be different. What are you going to do? I thought about it. Nothing. Not right now. Maybe not ever. They had 6 months to reach out. They chose to wait until I was publicly successful. That tells me everything I need to know. The grand opening was perfect. Over 300 people showed up. Local politicians gave speeches. Donors wrote checks. Media covered it extensively. But the best part was watching the women we'd already helped stand up and share their stories. Shayla spoke, talked about leaving her abusive marriage and how second chances had given her the support to do it safely. She didn't name Marcus, but anyone who knew us would know. A woman named Trina talked about escaping her toxic family, who'd financially exploited her for years. How second chances had helped her set boundaries and build a new life. Another woman, Deshawn, talked about leaving her husband, who'd told her she was too dark-skinned, too ghetto, too much. How second chances had helped her remember her worth. Every story hit different. Every story mattered. And standing there, watching these women reclaim their narratives, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Purpose. Pure, undiluted purpose. After the ceremony, a well-dressed, older black woman approached me. There was something familiar about her face. Miss Williams? I'm Angela Patterson, Marcus's mother. I froze. Mrs. Patterson, please call me Angela. I need to talk to you. Can we find somewhere private? We stepped into my office, newly decorated with African art and photos of the women we'd helped. She looked around, taking it all in. This is beautiful, Jasmine. Truly beautiful. Thank you. She sat down heavily, suddenly looking every one of her 68 years. I came to apologize for my son, for enabling him, for not seeing what he was doing to Shayla, to you and your sister. I raised him to be better than that, and I failed. Mrs. Patterson, let me finish, please. She took a shaky breath. When Shayla left and told me everything, really everything, I was horrified. The financial abuse, the control, the way he manipulated situations to always be the victim. I saw it, Jasmine. I saw it, and I made excuses. He's stressed. He's trying to provide. He just needs support. But the truth is, I raised a man who thinks he's entitled to everything and responsible for nothing. Tears rolled down her face. I'm not asking you to forgive him or me. I just needed you to know that I see it now. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry I didn't protect you from him. I'm sorry I didn't stand up to your mother when she chose him over you repeatedly. I'm sorry I didn't call you after that family meeting. I should have. Why didn't you? Pride, shame, fear that you'd reject me. All the reasons that don't matter now. She reached into her purse and pulled out an envelope. This is a check for $25,000. It's everything I have in savings. I want to donate it to Second Chances, in Shayla's name, and in yours, for the daughter I should have treated better. I looked at the check, $25,000. Her life savings. Mrs. Patterson, I can't take this. Yes, you can. Please. Let me do this one thing right. I thought about refusing. About pride and boundaries and protecting myself. But I also thought about grace. About the difference between people who refuse to see their mistakes and people who own them. I'll take it, I said, but on one condition. You come volunteer here. Once a week, help us. Use your story to help other women see the warning signs of what you missed with Marcus. She started crying harder. You'd let me do that? After everything? You're not your son, Mrs. Patterson. You made mistakes, but you're here now, owning them. That matters. We hugged, both of us crying, and I felt something loosen in my chest. Not forgiveness for everyone, but space for people who were genuinely trying to do better. A week later, Devon called. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity won. Jasmine, I saw the article, and the opening. It's impressive. Thank you. I also saw that you're helping women leave toxic marriages. Is that what ours was? Toxic? Sure. I was quiet for a long moment. Yes, Devon, it was. For both of us, probably. But especially for me. I've been in therapy, he said quietly. Working on myself. My therapist pointed out some things about how I treated you, how I measured your worth by your income, how I made you feel small. I didn't see it then. I see it now. I'm glad you're getting help. I'm not calling to ask for anything or to get back together. I just wanted to say I'm sorry. Really sorry. You deserved better than how I treated you. And this thing you've built, Second Chances, it's incredible. You're helping so many people. I'm proud of you. I know I don't have the right to be, but I am. Thank you for saying that. And Jasmine, for what it's worth, you were never the problem. Your job wasn't pointless. Your heart wasn't too big. You weren't too anything. You were exactly right, and I was too broken to see it. We hung up, and I sat there feeling strange. Not vindicated, not triumphant, just sad. Sad for who we both were back then. Sad for what we couldn't be, but grateful we'd both found our way out. My phone buzzed again. A text from a number I recognized even though I'd blocked it. Mama had found a way through. Baby girl, I know you don't want to hear from me, but I'm sitting in my church and Pastor Jenkins just preached about pride coming before the fall. I fell, Jasmine. I fell hard when I chose Marcus over you. When I made you feel guilty for not having money to give me while I let him live rent-free. When I didn't make room for you, but made room for him, I failed you as a mother. I don't expect you to forgive me. I don't even know if I deserve it. But I need you to know I see it now. I see everything I did wrong. And I'm sorry. So sorry. Not because you have money, because you're my daughter. And I should have protected you, and I didn't. I love you, baby. I always will. Even if you never speak to me again. I read it 3 times. Showed it to Brittany. What do you think? I think only you know if that's real or if it's manipulation. What does your gut say? My gut said it was probably real, probably genuine, but also that it didn't change anything. Not yet. Maybe not ever. I texted back, I hear you, Mama. I'm not ready yet. Maybe someday, but not yet. I need more time. Her response came immediately. Take all the time you need, baby. I'll be here, waiting, hoping, praying. I love you. I didn't respond to that. 3 months later, Second Chances had expanded to include a legal clinic, a job placement program, and emergency housing for up to 20 women at a time. We had a waiting list of over 100. The board of directors, all survivors themselves, voted to explore opening satellite locations in other cities. I was featured on Good Morning America. The interview focused on the organization, but they asked about my family. I walked away from people who only valued me when I could offer them something, I said. And I walked toward building something that helps women do the same. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is let go. The segment ended with a montage of women we'd helped, their faces blurred for privacy, their voices sharing their stories. The anchor's final words were, sometimes family isn't who you're born to. Sometimes it's who shows up. That night, my phone rang. Brittany, turn on channel 2, now. I flicked it on. There was Marcus, being interviewed, looking contrite, playing the victim perfectly. My sister Jasmine and I had a falling out, he was saying. She felt like the family didn't support her enough, and she tested us without telling us. It hurt. It hurt all of us. But I want her to know, on public television, that I'm sorry. I should have been there. I should have helped. I let my pride and my own problems get in the way. If you're watching, Jazz, I love you. We all love you. Come home. I stared at the screen. Brittany was already texting me. Do not fall for this. My phone started ringing. Other people who'd seen it. Friends, colleagues, even some of the women from Second Chances. Don't believe him, one woman texted. My brother did the same thing when I went no contact. Public apologies are manipulation when the private apology never came first. She was right. 6 months of silence, then a public plea when I was successful enough to be worth performing for. Classic manipulation. I turned off my phone, took a bath, lit candles, did my meditation practice that Dr. Washington had taught me, and I felt nothing. No anger, no urge to respond, no need to defend myself or call him out. Just nothing. Because I'd already won. Not by having money, not by being successful, not by building second chances, as important as that was. I'd won by choosing myself, by walking away from people who diminished me, by building a life so full of purpose and meaning that their validation didn't matter anymore. Marcus could apologize on television every night for the rest of his life. It wouldn't change what he'd shown me when it mattered. And more importantly, it wouldn't change who I'd become in his absence. I was Jasmine Williams. Lottery winner, nonprofit founder, sister to women who weren't blood-related but showed up anyway. And I was free. Finally, completely, unapologetically free. And that freedom was worth more than $50 million. That freedom was priceless. 1 year after walking away from my family, I stood backstage at the Georgia World Congress Center, waiting to give the keynote address at the National Coalition Against Domestic Violence Conference. My natural hair was styled in elegant goddess locks. I wore a royal purple suit that cost more than my old annual salary, but I'd earned the right to take up space, to look powerful, to be powerful. 5 minutes, Miss Williams, a stage manager said. My phone buzzed. A text from Brittany. You've got this. Remember who you are and who you're speaking for. I'm in the 3rd row. I love you. Another from Patricia, my financial advisor. Just approved the wire transfer for the Chicago Second Chances location. You're officially in 4 cities now. Congratulations. 4 cities in 1 year. We'd expanded from Atlanta to Chicago, Houston, and Oakland. We'd helped over 400 women leave toxic situations, provided housing, therapy, legal aid, job training, changed lives, saved lives. I touched the locket around my neck. Inside was a tiny photo of me and Brittany from college, back when we were young and broke and dreaming, before I knew what betrayal felt like, before I knew what real family looked like. The introduction began. Dr. Sarah Chen, the conference organizer, spoke into the microphone. Our keynote speaker today is a woman who transformed personal pain into systemic change. 1 year ago, Jasmine Williams won the lottery and discovered that wealth reveals character, both in ourselves and in others. Instead of accepting conditional love from family, she walked away and built Second Chances, an organization that has become a lifeline for women escaping toxic relationships and families. She's here today to talk about financial abuse, family exploitation, and the radical act of choosing yourself. Please welcome Jasmine Williams. The applause was thunderous. I walked onto that stage, looked out at 2,000 people, advocates, survivors, social workers, therapists, and felt something settle in my chest. This was where I belonged. Not in the living room being guilt-tripped by people who only valued me for what I could provide. Here, speaking truth, creating change. 1 year ago, I began, my voice steady and clear. I won $50 million and didn't tell anyone. Instead, I pretended I'd lost my job and asked my family for help. Small help, a place to stay, some encouragement, a phone call back. Almost everyone failed that test. My mother chose my brother over me. My sister called me jealous for not co-signing a car loan while I was unemployed. My brother ignored me for 4 months, then asked for $10,000. My husband told me to humble myself and leave. Only one person passed. My best friend Brittany, who took me in without hesitation and never asked for anything. I paused, letting that sink in. I didn't test them to be cruel. I tested them because I'd spent 30 years accepting crumbs and calling it love. I'd spent 30 years believing that blood meant loyalty, that family meant unconditional support, that I owed people access to me just because we shared DNA. But what I learned was this: conditional love is not love. It's a transaction. And I was done being someone's ATM, someone's emotional support system, someone's backup plan. Heads nodded. Someone shouted, "That's right." We talk a lot about domestic violence, about intimate partner abuse, but we don't talk enough about family exploitation, about mothers who guilt their daughters into financial responsibility, about siblings who only call when they need something, about extended family who measure your worth by what you can do for them. That's abuse too. Financial abuse, emotional abuse. And it's especially prevalent in communities where we're taught that family comes first, always, no matter what. I shared statistics then, data about financial exploitation within families, how women, especially Black women, are expected to be the family's financial safety net, how we give and give and give until we're empty, and then we're blamed for not giving more. I had a woman come to Second Chances last month, I continued. Her mother had been taking money from her for 15 years, thousands of dollars. When she finally said no, her mother called her selfish and turned the whole family against her. She came to us broken, convinced she was a bad daughter. We helped her see the truth. She wasn't a bad daughter. She was an exploited one. There's a difference. I talked about our work, about the 400 women we'd helped, about expansion to 4 cities with 2 more planned, about our legal clinic that had helped women escape financial abuse from family members, about our therapy programs that address the unique trauma of family betrayal. Because that's what it is, I said, my voice getting stronger. When family exploits you, it's betrayal. When family only shows up when you have something to offer, it's betrayal. When family makes you feel guilty for setting boundaries, it's manipulation. And we need to start calling it what it is. The applause started then, building like a wave. I walked away from my entire family 1 year ago, and people said I was cold, cruel, unforgiving. They said, family is family. You work through things, you forgive. But here's what I learned. Forgiveness without changed behavior is just allowing abuse to continue. And I wasn't interested in performing forgiveness so other people could feel comfortable. I was interested in protecting my peace. I shared my story then. All of it. The lottery win, the test, the family meeting where I revealed everything, walking away, building second chances, choosing Brittany and the women in our organization over blood relatives who'd shown me exactly who they were. And you know what happened, I said? I didn't fall apart. I thrived because I'd been carrying the weight of their expectations, their demands, their conditional love for so long that when I put it down, I could finally breathe. I could finally fly. The standing ovation started before I even finished. People were crying, cheering, some holding hands with each other, survivors supporting survivors, and people from every woman who's been told she's selfish for setting boundaries. I said, my voice cracking slightly, "You're not selfish. You're self-preserving." To every woman who's been guilt-tripped for saying no to family, you're not ungrateful. You're aware. To every woman who's walked away from blood relatives who treated her like a resource instead of a person, you're not cruel. You're courageous. I finished to a 5-minute standing ovation, People were openly weeping. The energy in that room was electric, alive with recognition and permission and power. Afterward, during the networking reception, I was swarmed. Women wanting to share their stories, to thank me, to ask how they could support second chances, funders wanting to write checks, other organizations wanting to partner. But the most impactful conversation was with a young woman, maybe 23, who grabbed my hand with tears streaming down her face. "My family has been bleeding me dry since I got my first real job," she said. "My mom, my sisters, my cousins, everyone. I make $55,000 a year, and I give away at least $1,000 a month. I have no savings, no retirement, nothing. And they still call me selfish when I can't help. After hearing you speak, I just texted my mom and told her I can't give her money anymore. She's calling me right now and I'm not answering. For the first time in 5 years, I'm not answering." She showed me her phone. 15 missed calls from Mama. "Good," I said firmly. "Let it ring. Your life is not a charity for people who won't help themselves." "But what if she really needs it? Then she can figure it out the way you'd have to figure it out if you had nothing. You're not responsible for saving everyone. You're responsible for saving yourself first." She hugged me so tight I could barely breathe. "Thank you. Thank you for giving me permission to choose me. You already had permission, honey. You just needed to believe it." An older white woman approached nervously. Something about her was familiar. "Ms. Williams? I'm Rebecca." My stomach dropped. Devon's Rebecca. The girlfriend he'd left me for. "Rebecca." I kept my voice neutral. "I needed to come, to hear you speak, to understand." She looked older than I remembered. Tired. "I left Devon 8 months ago. We were together for almost 2 years total. And the entire time, he was exactly what you said. Conditional. Transactional. He loved me when I made him look good. When I could introduce him to the right people. When I was useful. I'm sorry you went through that." "Don't be. You tried to warn me. That day in the grocery store, you told me he was broken. I didn't listen. I thought I could fix him. I thought I was different." She laughed bitterly. "But once the novelty wore off, once his career didn't magically take off just because he had a white girlfriend, I became the problem too. Suddenly, I was too demanding, too high maintenance, not supportive enough. What made you leave?" He asked me to loan him money. $50,000 for another startup idea. When I said no, he said the same things he probably said to you. That I was selfish, that a real partner would support him, that I was holding him back. She paused, and I remembered what you said about him being broken. And I left. Good for you. That takes courage. Your organization, Second Chances, do you help women like me? Women who weren't abused physically, but were manipulated emotionally? That's exactly who we help. Abuse isn't just physical, Rebecca. What you described is financial and emotional abuse. She started crying. "Could I get information about your services? I'm doing okay financially, but I need therapy. I need to understand why I stayed so long, why I accepted so little." I pulled out a card. "Call this number Monday. Ask for Brittany. Tell her I sent you. We'll get you set up with a therapist who specializes in narcissistic abuse. Thank you. And Jasmine, I'm sorry for everything, for being part of hurting you. I didn't know the full story then, but that's no excuse. I'm sorry. I appreciate that. Really. But Rebecca, you don't owe me anything. You were manipulated too." Devon's very good at that. She nodded and walked away, and I felt something shift. Not forgiveness for what happened, but closure. Understanding that we'd both been victims of the same broken man, and we'd both found our way out. As the conference wound down, I stepped outside for air. The Atlanta skyline glittered in the evening light. 1 year ago, I'd been planning my exit from a marriage that was killing me slowly. Planning how to test my family. Wondering if I'd survive the truth. Now I was here. Changed, stronger, free. My phone rang. Mama's number. She'd been trying to reach me for months. I'd ignored every call, every text. but something made me answer this time. Jasmine? Her voice was thick, like she'd been crying. Hi, Mama. Baby, you don't have to talk to me. I needed you to know something. I'm in the hospital. They found a lump. Breast cancer. Stage 2. I'm having surgery next week. My heart stopped. Mama, I'm not calling to ask for anything. I know I don't have the right. I just thought you should know. In case something happens, I need you to know that I love you, that I'm sorry, that every day for the past year I've wished I could take back how I treated you. But I understand if you can't forgive me. I understand if this is goodbye. I closed my eyes, felt tears slip down my cheeks. What hospital? Grady. But baby, you don't have to. What day is your surgery? Wednesday, 7 a.m. But Jasmine, really, I'm not asking. I'll be there, Mama, not because I've forgiven everything, not because we're okay, but because you're still my mother, and I'm still your daughter, and that has to mean something. She sobbed. Thank you, baby, thank you. But Mama, after this we need to have real conversations about everything. No more sweeping things under the rug. No more choosing Marcus over me. If you want me in your life, things have to be different. Part 2. Anything, whatever you need, I promise. We hung up, and I stood there shaking. Brittany found me. You okay? I told her everything. Are you sure you want to do this? She asked, after everything she put you through? I don't know if I want to, but I need to, for me. So I don't spend the rest of my life wondering if I should have shown up. Then I'm coming with you. Britt. Non-negotiable. You showed up for her, I show up for you. That's how this works. Wednesday morning, Brittany and I arrived at Grady Hospital at 6:30 a.m. Mama was in pre-op, looking small and scared in her hospital gown. Her eyes widened when she saw me. Jasmine, you came. You really came. I said I would. Marcus was there. So was Keisha. They both froze when they saw me. Marcus started. I didn't think. I'm not here for you, I said quietly. I'm here for Mama. That's it. Keisha opened her mouth like she wanted to say something, then closed it. Mrs. Patterson was there too, Angela. She smiled at me warmly. She'd been volunteering at Second Chances for 6 months now, becoming a fixture, a grandmother to all the women there. Jasmine, Mama said, can we talk, just us, before they take me back? We stepped into the hallway. She grabbed my hands. I know you don't owe me anything. I know I failed you. But I need to say this in case I don't make it. Don't talk like that. Listen, please. She squeezed my hands. You were right. About everything. I chose Marcus because he reminded me of his daddy. Because I've always been afraid he'd struggle like his daddy did. So I enabled him, made excuses, let him take advantage. And in doing that, I neglected you. My strong, capable, independent daughter. I took you for granted because you never seemed to need me. I needed you, Mama. I always needed you. I know that now. When you walked away, when you chose that girl Brittany over your own family, I was angry at first. Hurt. But then I started really thinking, really looking at my choices, and I realized you were the only one being honest. You asked for help, and we all failed you. Then we had the audacity to ask you for help and got mad when you said no. Let me finish. I see it now. I see how I parentified you, made you responsible for everyone's problems while ignoring your own. I see how I taught you that your value was in what you could give, not in who you were. I see how I damaged you. And I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Tears were streaming down both our faces. What you've built with Second Chances, she continued, helping all those women. Baby, you're doing what I should have done, teaching women they don't have to accept scraps, that they can demand better, that they can walk away from people who don't value them. I'm proud of you, so proud. Thank you, Mama. That means more than you know. They came to take her back then. She hugged me tight. I love you, baby girl. No matter what happens, I love you. I love you too, Mama. The surgery took 4 hours. We all sat in that waiting room, tension thick enough to cut. Marcus tried to talk to me twice. I ignored him both times. Keisha scrolled on her phone, shooting me resentful looks every few minutes. Finally, the doctor came out. The surgery went well. We got clear margins. She'll need chemotherapy, but the prognosis is good. Everyone exhaled. Over the next 3 months, I showed up for Mama's chemo appointments. Not every one, but enough. Brittany came with me to most of them. We'd sit with Mama for hours, talking about everything and nothing. Slowly, carefully, we rebuilt something. Not the old relationship. That was dead, gone, unfixable. But something new. Something honest. Something boundaried. I'm paying for your treatment, I told her during one session. All of it. You focus on getting better. Baby, I can't ask you. You're not asking, I'm offering. But Mama, this doesn't mean everything's okay. This doesn't erase the past. I know, and I'm grateful for this, for you being here, for the chance to do better. Marcus tried to approach me in the parking lot one day. Jas, can we talk? Please. I know I messed up. I know I was selfish. But you're helping Mama and Shayla, and you won't even look at me. Don't I deserve a chance to apologize? I turned to face him, really looked at him, my brother, who I'd loved, who I'd trusted, who'd failed me completely. You want to apologize, Marcus? Fine, I'm listening. He looked taken aback, like he hadn't expected me to actually stop. I'm sorry for not being there, for taking advantage of Mama, for ignoring you when you needed help. I was selfish and proud and wrong. Okay. He waited. When I didn't say anything else, he frowned. That's it? Just okay? What do you want me to say? That I forgive you? That we're good now? We're not good, Marcus. You showed me exactly who you are. You ignored my calls for 4 months. You lived rent-free at Mama's while she got evicted. You asked your unemployed sister for $10,000 while making $80,000 a year. And worst of all, you called me spiteful when I couldn't help you. I was desperate. So was I. That's the point. When I was desperate, you disappeared. When you were desperate, you expected me to fix it. That's not family. That's exploitation. So you're never going to forgive me? Is that what you're saying? I'm saying I don't trust you. I might forgive you someday. Forgiveness is for me, not for you. But forgiveness doesn't mean relationship. You don't get access to me just because you apologized. You have to earn that. And you haven't even started. How? How do I earn it? By changing. Really changing. Get therapy. Figure out why you think the world owes you everything. Stop taking advantage of Mama. Pay her back for the 2 years of rent you didn't pay. Support Shayla instead of fighting her on custody. Be the man you should have been all along. And maybe in a few years, if you've actually done the work, we can talk. I walked away, leaving him standing there. Keisha never apologized. Not once. She posted vague Instagram stories about family who get successful and forget where they came from, and blood being thicker than water. I blocked her and moved on. 6 months after Mama's diagnosis, she was in remission. We celebrated with a small dinner at her place. Just me, Brittany, Mama, and Angela. I never thought I'd see this, Mama said, looking around the table. My daughter and her chosen family. Breaking bread with me even after everything. You did the work, Mama, I said. You went to therapy. You set boundaries with Marcus. You apologized without expecting anything in return. You earned this. And I'm grateful for it every day. My phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. Ms. Williams, this is Senator Martinez's office. The senator was very moved by your keynote at the NCADV conference. She's introducing legislation to address financial exploitation within families and would like you to testify before the Senate Committee on Family Issues. Would you be interested? I showed the text to Brittany. She screamed, "The Senate! Jazz, you're going to testify before the Senate?" Looks like it. Mama grabbed my hand. Baby, you're changing the world. You really are. We're changing the world, I corrected. All of us. Every woman who's walked away from toxicity. Every woman who's chosen herself. Every woman who's refused to accept conditional love. We're the ones changing things. Later that night, I stood on my balcony. Yes, I bought a penthouse in Midtown, allowed myself to enjoy my wealth, and looked out at Atlanta. This city that had raised me, broken me, and helped me rebuild myself. 1 year ago, I'd stood in Mama's living room and walked away from my entire family. It had felt like death, like choosing to amputate my own limb. But it wasn't death. It was birth, the painful, necessary birth of a woman who knew her worth, who refused to be diminished, who chose herself even when it cost everything. My phone rang. Brittany, you okay? You got quiet after we left your mom's. I'm perfect, actually. For the first time in my life, I'm perfect. Yeah? Yeah, I have you. I have Mama in a new, healthier way. I have second chances. I have women across the country telling me I gave them courage. I have purpose. I have peace. And Britt, I have myself, fully, completely, unapologetically. That's my girl. That's my sister. I love you. You know that? I know. I love you too. After we hung up, I pulled out my journal. Started writing. Dear 30-year-old Jasmine who won the lottery and thought money would solve everything. The money didn't save you. Walking away did. Choosing yourself did. Building something that mattered did. You lost your husband. You lost most of your family. You lost the version of yourself who accepted crumbs and called it a feast. But look what you gained. A sister in Brittany who showed up without conditions. A mother who did the work to earn her way back. A purpose bigger than yourself. And freedom. God, the freedom. You learned that blood doesn't equal loyalty. That family is what you build, not just what you're born into. That you can walk away from toxicity even when it wears your mother's face. That choosing yourself isn't selfish, it's survival. That test you ran wasn't cruel, it was necessary. It revealed truth, and truth, however painful, is always better than comfortable lies. Today I testified before the Senate. Tomorrow I'll open 2 more Second Chances locations. Next month, I'll keynote another conference. But the victory isn't in any of that. The victory is in the mirror, in looking at yourself and recognizing the woman staring back. Strong, whole, free. You did that. You saved yourself. And in saving yourself, you're saving hundreds of other women. The little girl from Decatur, who shared a bedroom with her sister. Who paid her mama's light bill while making $42,000 a year? Who accepted scraps and called it love? She'd be so proud of you. I'm so proud of you. You won $50 million. But the real jackpot was discovering you were already rich. In courage, in integrity, in self-respect. They couldn't see it. That's their loss. You see it now. That's your victory. Keep shining. Keep choosing yourself. Keep showing women what freedom looks like. The world needs more women like you. Women who walk away. Women who demand better. Women who know that sometimes the most loving thing you can do is let go. You are enough. You always were. And now you finally believe it. That's worth more than all the lottery tickets in the world. I closed the journal, looked up at the stars and smiled. Somewhere out there, another woman was being told she was selfish for setting boundaries. Another daughter was being guilted by family. Another wife was being diminished by a husband who couldn't see her value. And maybe, just maybe, one of them would hear my story, would see what I built, would understand that walking away isn't giving up, it's standing up. For yourself, for your peace, for your freedom. I'd won $50 million and discovered that money couldn't buy me what I needed most. But choosing myself could, and it did. I was Jasmine Williams, lottery winner. Nonprofit founder, survivor, warrior. Sister to women everywhere who'd been told they were too much or not enough. And I was finally, beautifully, completely free. That was the real prize. That was the real victory. And nothing, no amount of money, no family pressure, no guilt trips, no manipulation could ever take that away from me again. I'd won. Not when the lottery numbers matched, but when I looked in the mirror and chose the woman I saw. Every single day after that was just collecting the winnings.